and today we got to play Evergreen. Now, this is very reminiscent of Photosynthesis, so if you like that game, this might be something that you're interested in. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now, Randy, can you tell us a little bit more about Evergreen?
Yes, very little. This is a 2022 release. They had it at Gen Con, but it's got a Q4 2022 release date in, I guess, Europe, because it looked like it was going to be in euros. But you cannot even see the price if you're in America, because when you try to click on it, it tells you you're not in a region that you can see the price on. So I don't know, what it's selling for. It has a Board Game Geek rating of 7.7 currently and a rank of 85/17. It's 1 to 4 players, 45 minutes average length, which I think was about right. Age 8 and up. I think that might be a little young on this just because of all the iconography. But, I mean...
Maybe.
It may be 10 and up, I would think. Designed by Yalmar Hawk. Art by Wenyi Ging. And published by Horrible Guild. That's the only place I found it, was on their website. And like I said, I couldn't click on it to find any more information about it.
All right, well, let's talk about the quality of components. So the quality of components are they have wooden... I don't want to say meeples, but kind of like meeples.
Yeah, they're custom shaped wooden bits.
Yeah, so you have your sprout, you have your bush, you have your small tree, you have a big tree, and you have water that you also get to place over
your purple markers for your different stats on your board.
Right. The inlaid board as well. I will say the inlaid board has no bowing, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's really set up pretty cool. I mean, it's functional. I had a couple of times where I knocked things over, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, they're... No,
it's highly functional. Like your 0, 50, 150, like that's over here. You go around the 50 victory points. Everything, like having inlaid, it was very, very nice. As far as functionality, I think it was very good. I think the only disappointment a little bit was the card quality and the storage system, right?
Yeah, the storage system already comes pre-built in the box, which is I like, but it doesn't go all the way down into the box. So it's like they assembled it kind of poorly, and it's not cut right, so it'll fit all the way down. And these are the dividers that keep your pieces in place when you store it, so they're going to be sliding underneath and going into, it's not a huge problem, but it's just kind of a nuisance. You're going to have to pick out the pieces and put them back in the right spot.
Right. I mean, and for me, it's the card quality.
Yeah.
You handle these quite a bit. They get shuffled at least once per game. It is pretty flimsy. I don't feel like they're going to last the test of time, so I really do think sleeving
we're going to have to sleeve them.
I think you're going to have to sleeve them. I think there's no way around that.
Which is then also going to put... maybe not. It won't be a problem. I don't know. I'm not sure once you sleeve them if it'll go too high in the box and then the storage becomes even more of a problem.
Yeah, we'll have to see when we get there. But overall, I think they had some great things going on for this. I mean, there was, there were things that could have made it a 9 or a 10, but they didn't do those.
Oh, and we did have one of the little sprouts that was cut wrong that we found so far, where it just didn't fit.
Yeah, Randy was insistent that I was crazy and
that
it would
I was going by length, not width.
And he took it from me and measured me. He's like, "No, this is the same measurement." And I was like, "Listen, babe, it doesn't fit." And I'm like, "Fine, you put it on your board." Oh, look. You didn't fit it.
I went by length. I didn't think about width. I thought you said it was the different length.
No, I said it wouldn't fit into the board. So I'm going to tease him like that for at least another, 2 weeks. But overall, I actually think they did a really good job on a lot of the stuff. I think I'm going to give this a 7. Like I said, there were things that could have made it better. And then when we mentioned those, but overall they did a good job. What are you thinking?
I'm probably giving it a 7.5 just because I think I really like the board. I think they did a nice job with that board, and I like the little wooden bits. And it does look like a forest once you're done with it. It's not as too beautiful as what you look at with Photosynthesis. But it's the wooden bits, the tactile aspects of it make up for what the beauty lacks.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7.5.
Okay, cool. All right, so now let's talk about the theme. So the theme, like we said, is very similar to Photosynthesis, is the fact that you are trying to grow a forest. But you have to be careful the way you grow a forest because the sunlight hits and trying to get victory points and trying to create the largest forest. So But still, it's the same theme, right?
Well,
You're growing in different areas.
Sort of. It's got the same concept, but it's on. Everybody has their own board, so it's
right.
So that's
so there's
totally
some
different.
game functions that are different, but the actual theme itself, pretty the same.
Yeah, it's similar, very similar in theme, and even some of the functionality of the trees is very similar.
Right. So, but the theme wise, okay, the art I think is pretty. The board is pretty. There's a lot of things, but is it as pretty as Photosynthesis? No.
No, it's not.
No.
This is not going to attract your attention walking by the Photosynthesis does.
No.
But it's got. I mean, the boards. If somebody does stop, they're going to look and say, "Oh, those are really cool boards."
Yeah. I mean, so it's. I just think the theme is not as strong, and when you have a game so closely related, I don't think they're gonna get there. So for theme, I'm probably again going to give this a 7 because they just, when there's a game so close to yours already, you're going to have to pull out the stops to
from a theme perspective.
From the theme perspective.
Yeah, I'm good with a 7 on this one. It's not original anymore. I mean, back when Photosynthesis came out, there wasn't this plethora of nature games in the market, especially ones where you're building a forest. Now that you see all kinds of nature, tree, forestry type games out there, so it's got that originality aspect to it, and the function. I mean, anybody would look at this would compare it to Photosynthesis as far as the
really, honestly. So all right, now let's talk to the rule book. Rainey, how did you feel about the rule book?
So the rule book, first of all, it's got a nice cover on it. It is 16 pages of length, and the rules start with the usual setup and components. There are a lot of pictures, so it doesn't feel like a 16-page read because there's a lot of almost full-page pictures in the book. So when you condense out all the pictures, you're probably looking more at like a 8-page read of actual rules. And the illustrations are spot on for showing you what you can and can't do and how things work. They did an excellent job, so there's no confusion with the rules. The only complaint I have about it is the iconography. They rely on the iconography on the boards. It's pretty simple. Once you get it, it's not hard, but there's no cheat sheets whatsoever. And the icon explanations are not on the back where you would hope they would be. Well, I take that back. There's a description of the icons on the back, but there's nothing to tell you what they do. So you would have to go inside and look to see what the functionality is.
I didn't need it. I had to ask you, is this the bush? Right. Okay. This is the bush. Right.
So, I don't think it's bad. Like I said, once you get it, the iconography is very intuitive. Yeah. I will give it probably an 8 still. I think it's a very well done rule book. And it's an easy, quick read. I was able to read it while I was very distracted with some background noises from your dad's phone. And
hey, listen, we were chatting it up.
Yeah, discussions, very loud discussions, children. I was able to still read it pretty quickly and explain it to everyone, and we all got going quickly with the game.
Yes, hashtag family life. All right, so now let's talk about the actual gameplay. So the gameplay, it is fairly straightforward. So what we're going to do is depending, it's 1+ for every player you have, right?
Well, first thing you do is you set up your area down here. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to flip cards until you get 5 points worth of icons. Once you have 5 points worth, everything else gets reshuffled into the deck. So we'll shuffle this real fast. Da-da-da.
La, 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 la.
And then you will flip up one more card than the number of players.
Yeah, so at this time we got 3 boards set up, so this is what it looks like. All right, so say if I had first player, which is this beautiful little leaf token right here. Okay, so I have this, so I'm gonna end up choosing what I want to do first. Now, if I look down here, I'll notice that the dark brown area is currently worth 3 victory points at the end of the game. The forest area, that's also worth 3 points of the game. Well, none of those are really up here, so I mean, you know what? I'm going to decide to choose that wild to take that action. But so the closest to the deck, I'm going to then put on here. So the next, if someone takes that, then someone gets to be first player. And if no one takes it, then it comes back to me. Now, anytime I take a card, depending on the area depicted, in this case, this is a wild, I get to choose one of these 3 actions that are located at the bottom of your board. Four actions. One of those is plant 3 saplings, 2 growth actions, a sampling and a growth action, and then the last is a sampling or growth action anywhere on the board, so it doesn't matter what your card has. In this particular case, it's the start of the game, so you're pretty much always forced to do the 3 sprout action. So I'm going to take it. Ice is worth a lot of victory points right now, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that here.
Now, at this point, her board would be empty. It wouldn't have all these other tokens on it. So that's why you would have to do the sapling, because there's nothing to upgrade, and you're not allowed to use the icons to upgrade the same space that you just planted. So if you place a sapling, you can't use the other action of the upgrade to upgrade the sapling to a small tree.
Yes. Okay, now on the second one, this one has a picture of a small tree, so I get to do a small tree action. So I'm going to go here to that icon on my board. I'm going to increase it by 1. And so that tells me I get 1. So I'm going to take one of these samplings and I'm going to upgrade it to a small tree. Look at that. It's so beautiful.
So basically each card has 2 functions. One being a function that's your choice of the 4 actions for the area that is on there. And the other one is a icon at the bottom that is a bonus action that you can then apply. You can choose to do it before or after.
Yeah, but the bonus action slowly builds strength. So the more you use a bonus action, the more it's worth, okay? So just kind of keeping that in mind. So you kind of almost want to pick things that you already have done because they are a lot more powerful. I didn't realize at the beginning of our last game how powerful that was going to be. So you want to make sure you do that carefully.
And you get some unique actions there that are different than the actions you could do down below. For example, you have the water, which will automatically grow 2 of the trees or saplings adjacent to it. Or you have the bushes, which is going to connect forests together. It doesn't do anything about producing sunlight, which we'll get to in a moment.
Or victory points at the end.
But yes, it's good for connecting. It counts as a victory point when you're connecting the forest.
Only when connecting.
But that was super helpful for me to win the game.
Yeah. Now, so just a FYI, I noted the victory points down here that are slowly building over the course. They're for fully grown trees, not small trees or saplings. Randy forgot this.
Yes, this is at the end of the game. This is
that's at the end. All right, so Randy's now going to pick a card.
So I want to be first player, so I'm going to take the one with the first player token, and that gives me action in the wheat region, which is the yellow region of the board, and so I can take any action. So assuming this was the beginning of the game, again, my board would be empty, but I would place 3 saplings.
Yeah, all right. And then
it gives me a free water action, so I would get to place a water. And if I placed it adjacent to 2 of those saplings I just planted, I could immediately make them into small trees.
Yeah. All right. So then we'll say Dad also decides to do wheat because he can. All right. So that means this card is actually going to go down to the bottom. Now the lighter green are now worth 3 victory points at the end of the game. Now there is one particular card that if gets left, not one particular card, but a series of cards. It's got this little skull at the top. Now, if for whatever reason people chose not to pick this one and they picked the other ones, it would come down and end up destroying the first one of that kind.
The top one.
So now the frost aren't worth anything, okay? So that would make me sad if, like now, I've developed so much around the frost, okay? So I would try to make sure to pick up this card so I didn't end up losing
unless, strategically, like if I didn't have anything in that region and the other people did,
you would leave it.
Yeah, you'd leave it, so it would sabotage the other people's trees.
Yeah.
So there's some strategy and take that hate drafting type things, as Robert calls it. It's a neat concept on that. And then the other thing is the game gets shorter as you go. So there's 4 rounds in the game, and there's 5 turns in the first round, and then it goes to 4.
But by the end, it's 2.
And the last round, it's only 2 turns. So you basically have to quickly do what you're going to do to get the most points at the end. And similar to photosynthesis, at each round, the sun rotates around the board, so you're going to generate light from that side, and you're going to score 1 point for every small tree, 2 points for every big tree that it hits, but the trees block the trees behind
each
them.
other, yeah. And also do note that not as well as doing the sun, it's the largest forest also that you have. All connecting gusts will get you victory points. There is another symbol that if you pick a card, you'll also get victory points. So typically the death cards, those are the ones that have it. You accumulate victory points for picking this one instead of that extra action, which isn't as powerful as you think that is. So just kind of being aware of that. And then, so that's at each round, that scores. Now, I honestly feel like this is better than Photosynthesis.
I do too. I think gameplay-wise, first of all, it's got engine building, which I always love.
Yes.
It's not a heavy engine build, but you can set up and strategize to take cards that, like you said, you're going to get more bang for your buck by taking ones you've already taken that action for.
Right, so you take So I find there is some engine building to it, which we both really appreciate. And I don't like people messing with my stuff. So it's, there's a little hate drafting. But overall, I'm building my own thing and I don't got people trying to steal my stuff. So I truly appreciate the board by itself. But I also like the fact that each time you take that action, it gets more powerful. So there's a lot more strategy to it. And I really do appreciate it. And the fact that there's end-game scoring around the tall trees. And you could change that throughout the game.
Yeah.
I mean, so like I ended up choosing wild a lot of time, hoping that the one card I wanted or that I could have used goes down to the bottom because they're worth victory points, right? So there's definitely something, that would help me. But
it didn't feel like any strategy was dominant over the other because
it
I focused on my forestry being the largest region. I had like 18 to 20 points every round I got from the forestry.
But I focused at end of game, and we were only, 10 apart?
No, less than that. It was 6 for you and me. I think your dad was like 10 behind you.
Right.
But
so
yeah, it was
they
very
were
close.
Really close, where I focused on in-game scoring. So, I do think this is better than Photosynthesis. I'm not going to lie. If you like more of that engine building strategic, this is the way to go, guys. This is the way to go.
I'm super glad I picked this up because I had no idea what it was. I had it on my checkout list. I walked by and all I could see, because the booth was always crowded when I was there, all I could see was the board. And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I thought when I got it that it had like an insert because of these divots on the side. So I thought it was like you put something in and change the pattern, but you don't. It's completely different than what I was expecting it to be. I knew it was going to be similar to Photosynthesis from a thematic standpoint. I didn't realize the gameplay, at least the scoring of the sunlight, was going to work almost identically to Photosynthesis.
Yeah, but there's so much other stuff going on. It's like someone sat down and was like, I like Photosynthesis. How do I make it better? And this is what they come up with.
Yeah.
And I agree with their assessment. So overall, let's talk about score. I'm going to give this a 9. I really like it. I'll play this again, like over and over and over again. I enjoy it. It's got that puzzling aspect. I want to immediately play it again. I actually really enjoyed this. This was really good. What's your score on this?
I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8.5 for now. I liked it a lot too. I don't like giving something, unless it just blows me away. I don't usually give it a 9 on the first playthrough or feel it playthroughs. I want to make sure it's going to last the test of time. I do like this one, though, a lot. Anytime you add engine building to something, if it's done well, I enjoy it. I think this one, even though it's not a heavy engine builder, it's done well. It's engine building similar to the level of like a furnace might be. It's not very heavy. As a matter of fact, this game is definitely on the light to medium, almost light side. It's not a heavy game.
But it's got enough to it.
But it's got enough meat to it to interest me. It's more interesting to me than Photosynthesis. I get bored with Photosynthesis.
Right, and that's what I don't get as bored with Photosynthesis as you do, and that's why, because I liked it, but this is just, there's so much more. I'm super excited because Photosynthesis does get a little boring, but the changing up the cards forces you to change what you're doing. The victory points down here, so you have to change up strategy. And then there are different ways. Is it end of game scoring? Is it trying to get the max sunlight? Is it trying to make sure that all your forests are connected? So there's so much here. Yeah. It's so fun.
and you might very well be able to just get a similar strategy, just running up victory points by taking the ones that give you victory points, because you build it up to 4 every time you take it. I don't know. I didn't try that approach.
Well, I tried it at the beginning, and I don't feel it. I don't feel like it was as advantageous as getting some of these because, 4 sprouts in 1 turn versus 4 victory points, or 2 growth on something.
I didn't play sprouts at all. Other than the ones for the actions, I never even used the sprout cards.
Right. Well, but then I did a little bit, and that's the thing, but I didn't use any shrubbery where you did.
I use shrubbery and water a lot.
Yeah, and I didn't use water at all. But so the fact is that there is so many ways, and the fact that we were so close in scoring, and I'm excited to play it again.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast. If you even remotely like photosynthesis, you definitely need to hit this up.
It's going to be a little while because it's Q4 of 2022 in Europe, and I don't know when that's going to hit the States. So it's going to be a little bit of a wait. I haven't seen it on pre-order on anybody's website, but it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, definitely keep your eyes open. So, all right, guys, we thank you so much. Appreciate you. Bye.